snatched my Segu from me. You snatched away a teacher of generations of our future. Segu, the young initiator waits you. They listen in vain for the throbbing of your master drum. They await your instructions. Segu, your children and grandchildren are waiting for you to teach them our way of life and to guide them to be good men and good women. Segu, come back to us. Come back, Segu. Your children are waiting.
Mother is a warrior, but you never fought the white man. So why is he in chains in the white man's dungeon? I fought alongside Mother in many battles, against many of the enemies of my people. I know you, Magan, and I know you'd rather die in battle than to live.
Juneteenth is not only an American story, it is a global story, an African story, and a Ghanaian story. It reminds us that the struggle for freedom, dignity, and justice is universal and unending. In this castle that was once used to service the machinery of enslavement, we gather today to declare that freedom is unfinished without repairing the trauma and lasting injustice.
So everybody's in an uproar right now, right? Because Ghana, they jumping in the middle again, and they're claiming Juneteenth as saying it's their own. Now in this video, I'm gonna demonstrate and I'm gonna break down the difference, because like I tell you guys, foundational Black Americans we are a lineage of people. We don't all agree. We don't all think the same. So you have people of many different groups, right? One of them is including my homeboy, my bro on social media, right? My little bro, O'Shea Duke Jackson. He is a hardcore Pan-Africanist. I used to be, but I'm not anymore, right? I reserve that right. I have that right to not be. I always said that Pan-Africanism has to be redone if you're going to do it. Because that form of Pan-Africanism that I was following, that we follow, that stuff don't exist. It's one way. There's only one way. It benefits everybody else but us, right? But my brother O'Shea, he's a real Pan-Africanist. He's more Pan-African than Umar Johnson and all these people ever been. You know why? He made the ultimate sacrifice. He's living on the continent with the Africans, right? Living on there with them. Electric turning off, water ain't running right. He's living the life of an African as a Pan-Africanist, right? So I respect him, but me and him, we have a difference of opinion when it comes to Juneteenth.
So the anger should not be directed at the African country. This is something that the people in the community that have already moved there have told Ghanaians. So then they put their spin on it and it becomes Africanized, because you do have foundational Black Americans who are Pan-African. And this is where the rubber meets the road. When you see this celebration, the Ghanaian kids dancing, singing, to a Pan-African, that is a part of Juneteenth, because it tells the entire story of Juneteenth to a Pan-African. I know the brothers and sisters from the hashtag hardbody guys on FBA on Twitter is not gonna agree with me. Listen, brother, I see your point of view, because I saw what you saw there. But take it from a Pan-African. The Pan-African brother from the Black American community, African American community, hashtag FBA, they understand that was important for us to be liberated in 1865. But they're gonna trace that lineage before that time, back to Africa, how we got into slavery. Whether they want to blame Ghana or not, most of them probably not gonna blame them like that. They'll blame the white man for doing it. And so that is a part of us, the part that we lost. So now them being in Ghana connects that which they lost and celebrating that who they were back home. That's how a Pan-African can understand that version of Juneteenth, whereas somebody in Oakland, St. Louis, Detroit, having the barbecue, going to the Hidden History Museum, or cannot understand it. But I will not blame African countries. Any African country that you see getting involved in Black history, getting involved in Juneteenth, that's Black Americans, your people, telling African governments to target us.
Now, I understand the point that O'Shea is attempting to make. I understand the one thing he's right about. Foundational Black American Pan-Africanists is going back to Ghana and these places, and they're giving their input to Africans that's never been to the States, right? So they're very much instrumental. The Pan-Africans are instrumental in creating what you see because they have a different belief than we do. But, there's a but. You can blame African countries, and I'm going to explain why. Check this out. So here we go. So now we have the Juneteenth celebration. And a lot of us foundational Black Americans are upset because we feel like Africans is trying to crowbar their way into a lot of our celebrations. But I want to have a conversation with the people today. And this may rub some people the wrong way. But remember, I tell you guys, we don't deal with the emotional stuff. We take the emotion out and we listen. When you dealing with foundational Black Americans, we are part of the church. We are Hebrew Israelites. We are the Nation of Islam. We are Sunni Muslims, right? We are Pan-Africans. We're everything. We're not just one group of people, right? We are a lineage of people that's a part of many different things, right? So within the foundation, within the FBA, you have Pan-Africanism, right? And Pan-Africans' idea of Juneteenth is different from mine, right? They believe that all roads lead back to Africa, right? So they're going to celebrate the African traditions and all those things that's associated with that. And they're going to associate Juneteenth with that. That's what they're going to do. I may not do that. We may not do that. We may say we have an ethnogenesis, but you have FBAs that are Pan-Africans that don't follow that. They're looking towards the east. They're looking towards Africa. So remember, we're not dealing with emotions. We're dealing with the factual aspect of our people. That's what I'm teaching here today in the classroom, right? It doesn't matter if I agree with it. I'm dealing with what just is, right? So let's look at what Juneteenth is first, right? Juneteenth is the oldest and most widely celebrated commemoration of the end of slavery in the United States for Black Americans. It serves as a symbolic second-day Independence Day, representing emancipation, resilience, and a profound reflection on the ongoing journey towards true equality and freedom. The holiday traces back to Galveston, Texas, on June 19, 1865, through President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863. Word of freedom didn't reach enslaved populations and the furthest Confederate territories until Union troops arrived over 2 years later to enforce it. Right? The Emancipation and Resistance. It marks the exact moment the last enslaved African Americans in the U.S. were officially informed of their freedom. It is a tribute to the endurance, survival, and resilience of Black ancestors. While July 4th celebrates American liberty, Juneteenth celebrates centers of Black liberation. It acknowledges the legal freedom. It acknowledges that legal freedom was granted universally at the nation's founding. The day is used to honor Black history, celebrate Black culture, and reflect the systematic obstacles the community has overcome and still faces, right? So we know that it signifies our fight over the over 233 rebellions, right? It is signified we had the Stoner Rebellion, the German Coast Rebellion, the New York Conspiracy. I mean, I can go on and on and on about all the fights, the Negro Fort out of Florida. We had so many fights that to liberate us. We didn't want to be enslaved. So we fought time and time and time again, right? And we had an ethnogenesis during that time, after slavery, after when Hayes Rutherford pulled the troops out in 1877. We went through black codes and Jim Crow and lynchings and everything. So we have a whole story here that tells who we've become, right? When you deal with Pan-Africans, they don't deal with that. They deal with that you are an African. And you are descendants of the people that were stolen, and the people in Ghana, Ivory Coast, Nigeria, Senegal, Niger Codofanian people, the Baja, I can't even say that word, region. They believe that we are descendants of those people, and they have a right to practice Juneteenth as well because we are the descendants of them people. They believe this. This is what they believe. And guess what? A lot of them are FBA. This is a fact. Right? So it doesn't matter whether I believe this. This is a portion of what our lineage believes, right? And this is why you can have the woman from Ghana making the statements that she made. You can have a person like a Marcus Garvey saying what he's saying. Marcus Garvey's son saying what he's saying. Even my brother O'Shea Duke Jackson, whom I love, my brother. He's so hardcore Pan-Africans that he's FBA. He lives in Africa. I respect him as a Pan-African because he embodies being Pan-African. He moved to Uganda and he's living amongst the Africans, employing them, doing all those things. That's a real Pan-African to me. Not somebody over here that talk that African stuff, Pan-African with a dashiki on and ain't never left Detroit. I ain't listening to none of that. Ain't never left Philly. O'Shea made the ultimate sacrifice. When he's as a Pan-African, that's what he believes, right? So, but let's look at why we're not messing with that, right? Pan-Africanism is a worldwide movement and political philosophy that advocates for the solidarity, unification, and self-determination of people of African descent. It posits that all Africans on the continent and those in the diaspora share a connected history, culture, and destiny, and seeks to eliminate the remnants of colonialism. Core ideas in history. Solidarity. It connects the struggles of the continental Africans with the African diaspora in the Americas and Europe, fostering a shared identity and resistance against systematic racism, W supremacy, and economic exploitation. Historical origins. The movement took shape in the late 1900s and early 20th centuries, championed by intellectuals in the diaspora such as W.E.B. Du Bois, Marcus Garvey, and Henry Sylvester Williams. Institutionalization efforts, early efforts to organize were realized through the Pan-African Congress. This eventually led to continental unification movements, culminating in the establishment of the OAU in 1963, which is known today as the African Union, right? So this is their idea. Now, what I'm about to say, I differ from this, and I'm gonna explain to you why I differ from this. Now, Ghana is spearheading all of this, right? But the problem I have with that is when we deal with Ghana and their presidents, right? So Ghana's president is John Mahama. He's the president of the Republic of Ghana. He assumed office January 7, 2025, serving his second non-consecutive term as the leader of the country, right? Now, when we look at that, who is John Mahama, right? Who is John Mahama? That's the question, right? John Mahama, where is he from, right? John Mahama is part of the Ganja tribe, sometimes referred to as Ganja people. The Ganja people play a significant role as trade intermediaries rather than coastal slave exporters. Their kingdom controlled a vast portion of northern Ghana and dominated the inland slave and cola nut trade, primarily through prominent marketed town of Solange. Their specific role in the slave trade included middleman and market controllers. The Ganja did not typically raid for slaves themselves. Instead, they provided the infrastructure, security, and marketplace for the trade. Their economy depended heavily on these transactions, where slaves brought in from the Sahel and surrounding interiors were traded for salt, livestock, and cola. The Solange market, known as the Timbuktu of the South, Solange was an expansive hub in the Ganja territory. Slaves were purchased at Solange by various groups, including Ashanti, Dogma Raiders, before being marched south to the coastal force. Domestic enslavement. The Ganja society itself was highly stratified with an institutionalized slave class used to provide labor for architecture, gold mining, and household services, right? So when we deal with the people that he comes from, and he's the one spearheaded, he comes from the people that was responsible for some of our people even making the Americas, because we already know we have people that was here already, right? So I subscribe that we have people here, and they brought people that over here from Africa, right? If you disagree, no need to debate. That's my opinion. I'm entitled to have it. If you start arguing, I'm going to erase your comment. We're not dealing with that. I'm not dealing with the emotional arguments. We all are allowed to have our opinions. So give your opinion, but don't be disrespectful. That's all I'm saying, right? But he was responsible. He was responsible for bringing over his people was responsible for a lot of slaves being sold. Now, Tariq Nasheed, He got wind of this and he took umbrage with this, right? And he went to social media and said this.
Ghana wasn't technically even a country when Juneteenth first came about. How the hell is it a Ghanaian story? Because these folks just be saying stuff and then don't elaborate on it. They do what Fat Joe did. Hip hop, blacks and Latinos, 50-50. And then you won't elaborate and just put a lie out there and just let it linger. And hopefully you think nobody's going to say nothing. See, that's why it's important to jump on these people's lies, family. That's what they do. The name of the game is just keep throwing lies out there. And if the lies don't get unchecked, they start to fester. Lies are like mold. You understand? If you don't take care of mold early on, that shit just grows and spreads and spreads and spreads. You got to knock that shit out early. You understand? Good Lord. We got to be very loud to shut that nonsense down, family. It is not xenophobic to say, hey, y'all people need to stop lying. Juneteenth is not a Ghanaian story. It is not an African story. That's a culmination of a uniquely American legal and constitutional crisis. That marks June 19th, 1865, when Major General Gordon Granger went down there to Galveston. He had to enforce the Emancipation Proclamation. That was a military order signed by the president to crush an American rebellion. The people liberated that day were freed under American law that we fought for on American soil that we built after enduring a uniquely American system of chattel slavery. This is not an African story unless you count the ones who were selling folks. Are you talking about that? What are they saying? Do I have any Ghanaians or Pan-Africans in here? Where the Pan-Africans when y'all always whining and y'all never around to explain this horse crap when these folks are talking crazy? Man, somebody said it's a Texas story. No, it's a foundational Black American story. Because the Emancipation Proclamation was issued for all of us. For all of us who were enslaved over here. That includes Texas. So that's a part of it. You understand? And listen, we had a distinct ethnogenesis. The foundational Black Americans, we had an ethnogenesis. By 1865, the enslaved people in Texas were not African. You understand? They had an ethnogenesis like all of us had an ethnogenesis. We had a brand new identity and ethnic group in the American South. Juneteenth celebrates the survival of that ethnogenesis. It celebrates that distinct lineage. So calling it Ghanaian or saying that it's a Ghanaian story, that literally makes no damn sense. Juneteenth is our cultural milestone. It's not a monolithic global one. Notice how everybody feels entitled to our shit. Anything that's for us, everybody can just kind of nudge us out the way and just claim jump every damn thing we do. They don't do that with other people. You don't see them talking about St. Patrick's Day as a global story. You don't see that. Anything that's remotely carved out for us, you got people from the outside trying to elbow their way in as if they're entitled. See, we let people get away with way too much shit, man, for way too long. Way too long. Look, the blood was spilled by foundational Black American soldiers. Juneteenth was just not, it wasn't just freedom granted. No, that was a day that freedom was enforced by the Union Army. And again, we were fighting with the Union Army. They could not have won the Civil War without foundational Black Americans. That's what Lincoln said. Those United States colored troops, that was the damn secret sauce that won the war. You understand? Foundational Black American men took up arms on this soil, shedding blood in these American battles to violently dismantle that damn white supremacist Confederacy. So we were freeing ourselves. You understand? Nobody from Africa came to help us. We were helping ourselves. We had to be up in the swamp using that as a sanctuary base that a lot of folks don't talk about. We had to put in that work. We didn't get no work from no help or no assistance from Africa. We didn't. You understand? So trying to make it a generic African story, that's an attempt to erase the specific military sacrifice of foundational Black American ancestors who fought for their own liberation. I'm not giving nobody else credit for that. That's our family, y'all.
Now, y'all gotta let me know what y'all think. We got listen, let me say this. My Pan-African FBAs, come in here and let me know what's your opinion on this. My foundational Black Americans that's not Pan-African, what's your opinion on this? Let's have the conversation. I want to have it because I believe that we need to have this conversation from within so that way we can get to the bottom of this, right? But if you are FBA and you are Pan-African, don't be afraid to comment. Comment. I'm not going to erase. Listen, comment. I want to hear your opinion. I want to hear your perspective, right? And we can be respectful, right? We can disagree and be respectful. The same way you might disagree with the church or the Nation of Islam or any other group. Let's have the conversation. So if you made it this far in the video, hit that like button, subscribe to Street Media TV, leave your comments in the comment section. And remember, I love y'all. Until the next time, peace.